All right, so today for week 8, choose your position, we are talking about Pakistan's neighbors and choosing like a position on it. And there's a few questions on question 1, like sub questions. And so we'll just get into it. Other than obvious tensions with India, how does Pakistan get along with its neighbors? So I think Pakistan has an on and off relationship with their neighbors that are super close by, because we noticed when we were reading about Afghanistan and Pakistan have like a on again, off again relationship. They think that they're not stable, but they're not really, like, they have a lot of similarities, but a lot of like differences as well. So we noticed that both of them, like between Pakistan and Afghanistan, we know that they both are mostly Muslim. We do know that they both, have kind of like an extra, like they have some very strong similarities between the two countries. And something that I noticed when I was reading it today, is the majority of Afghanistan is Sunni Muslim, but the reason why they don't really get along well is because Afghanistan was like 4 different nations thrown into one gigantic nation, and it just kind of and so people from Afghanistan identify themselves more as from individual tribes instead of as just one unit, and they still do that to this day. And the relationship between Pakistan and Afghanistan has been, like I mentioned, on and off. Pakistan, when it was created, it wanted itself to be the main successor of Britain in this new country, and claiming all the lands and borders that were established by the British should be theirs. But Afghanistan didn't really like that. They said that British India no longer existed and didn't really want Pakistan to go into the United Nations either. And so the only thing that they really have shared in common is a dislike of the Russians, because they wanted to defeat the Soviets. In Pakistan became the home of millions of refugees during this time frame, and they both just didn't really like Russia's involvement in their areas. And so that's one of the things that we notice. I think Afghanistan is definitely one of they do have a love-hate relationship, but right now I do think that it's kind of one of their more stronger allies. Because when we look into Iran, it doesn't have as much of an influence on Pakistan as Afghanistan did, but they are very different in culture and politics and stuff. And so I would say Afghanistan would probably be a stronger ally just simply because they have more relationship than Iran does. And then this next question was, who has the most economic interest and or influence on Pakistan and why? This one's a little bit of a tougher question, because I think I'd obviously have to say, I'd probably say India, because just because India is a very large country, it's very industrialized, and it's gaining more and more industrialization. So I would say that's the reason why it has the largest impact. And then it asks about cultural impact. Once again, I would say India. And the reason why I say India is because there was a lot of violence that occurred between Pakistan and India during the partition of India. There was a lot of like negative, I don't really know how to put it, but like there was a lot of violence during that time, a lot of like hate crimes, because they're people from the Hindu religion and people from the Islam religion. They're all switching and moving out and stuff, and people remember a lot of violence from each group in that time frame. And so each country believes that the other one is the evil one, even though they both participated in the hate crimes and the violence. And so I would say that India, for that reason, would be the strongest cultural impact on Pakistan. And I think that's pretty much about it. Those are the 3 questions, and I pretty much covered them. So I will see you guys next week. Ding.